Jenny with Nona Scraps. I have long desired to be able to use dingbats with my Embrilliant software. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They're the little graphic characters that are keyboarded into your whatever. I use them all the time in my scrapbooking programs, but I've been working on a way to get them into Embrilliance. I have a few that work and a few that don't, but I got this brilliant idea. Maybe not so brilliant. I want to do stylized pets. So I went shopping and I found a great set of dingbats that will work for the stylized pet outlines. I am going to include links at the end of this video for several of these places, so don't worry about it now. And then I started to try to open them up in this program as a true type font, and for some reason it didn't work. That story is on my blog. You can check my blog address at the end of this video as well. I think you'd find it interesting. You might actually learn something and prevent yourself the amount of frustration that I've had today. But in the end, I made it work. And I ended up with an SVG image, and I'm going to show you how the digitizing process for this particular image. First thing I do, I open a new page in my Embrilliant software, and then I select Create Design. I'm going to go to Vector and navigate to the file in which I have stored this design. For me, I put it on the desktop, just easiest. I found it, and I'm going to select Open. I want to point out just a couple of things. These are enclosed shapes. I'm just going to click on a couple so you know what I'm talking about. Right there, enclosed shapes. I originally thought that maybe for this particular design, I would just simply use the fill stitch, which is right here. They're enclosed shapes, closed, in other words, and that would work fine. But when I actually applied the stitches to these closed areas, I really wasn't happy with the outcome. So I decided instead to go back to satin fill. But before I go on, I am working in StitchArtist 3. This is accomplishable in StitchArtist 1. So know if you have StitchArtist 1, you can do the same thing. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to be using this tool, Draw with Points. I'm going to be using this stitch. Okay? But this is the method with which I created this design. I'm not going to show you the whole design, but I will show you a few because really, after you do a couple of the areas, the rest is just repetitive. The first thing I did in looking at this design was decide on a sequence in which I wanted these design parts to be digitized. I thought I'd start with this one, and here, move to this one, begin, end. Go to this one, and up to the top, and go to this one, and this one, and this, and this, and here to the top, ear to the top, ear to the bottom, and then the whiskers. That's a personal preference. You don't need to do it that way. For me, it just makes sense. My brain just thinks in those aspects. Sorry. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select, no it's not, I almost forgot one more time. I'm going to create a design, begin the new design. In order to make sure that I have all of the lines that I'm going to be drawing in a separate area and putting them into this design. So this is going to be called cat underscore line. See, the first one, first object, or the first design is called cat object SVG. And we want to keep these two separate, make it much easier in the end. So I'm going to select it, and I'm going to begin digitizing. Let me move in. I'm going to select my stitches, and I'm going to select left mouse click, I'm holding down the control key on my keyboard. Left mouse click, left mouse click. The reason I hold the control key down is that it forces the line to create an arc. I love that feature. I had to email support, but oh my goodness, they came right back to me. I love this support. And they told me what to do. So I'm going to right click to set the line. The next thing I'm going to do on my keyboard, I'm going to hit the letter Q. That goes back to the last used process. Hold down my control, left mouse click, left mouse click, left mouse click, right click off the design. Now I'm going to scroll out just a little bit. And I'm going to move down to the longer section. Again, Q on the keyboard. Hold down my control key. Left mouse click, left mouse click, left mouse click, left mouse click, right click off the design. I don't care if this is exactly in the center of this area. What I care about is the smoothness of the arc. And by using that control key with the left mouse click, oh my goodness, it is just so smooth. Let's look over in the object menu and see what's happening. You can see that I have different lines. That's good. I'm glad to see that. I'm going to leave you for just a brief second, and when I come back, I'm going to have this cat digitized the same process that I'm showing you. Okay, it's hard to see, but I actually have a pink line inside of every single one of the black outlined areas. See if I can get in just to the kitty cat, and you can see it right there. Okay, some perfect, others not. I'm not going to sweat that right now. Because I'm going to be using those lines instead of the outlined areas for this design, I'm going to come up, make sure that none of this is pink, and it's not. Select the design and delete it. Now all I have left is the outlines of my cat. Perfect. I love it. Now, I'm sounding like my granddaughter all the time. Maybe she got it from me. Anyway, I have all these outlines, and I'm going to be adding the Embrilliance magic to this. I really love the way this acts. I'm going to, on my Mac, I'm going to select Command A, and that's select all. I think on the PC it's Control A. And I'm going to select the satin border stitch and apply it to everything at one time. Oh, I love the way that looks. Like this, I could do it. I could do it so well. And now I am going to begin to make it my own. Command A again, and I'm going to select, make sure the satin border is showing. The width I want basically to be at 2.5. So I'll slide the arrow down. It's a little low. 2.5. I could have typed it in and I didn't do it. The density I am going to increase just a little bit. And now I'm going to select this tool right here. This is magic. I love this. I'm going to select my line thickness. First I'm going to select pointed ends, pointed ends. And if you look at the satin column, you can see where it's pointed. Now I'm going to select the expand at center. This one is a little, number 5 seems to be a little bit more gradual than number 6. So I'm going to select it. I really do like that one. And look how gorgeous. I mean, I think that is just absolutely breathtaking. Plus it's cool. I mean, just the magic of it is just so cool. I am going to now, I can take and I can actually increase the size of some of these outlines. The one I want to increase is this one. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to increase it up to a 3 as far as width. And you can see the cat's hump becomes more distinct. I could increase it up to 4 or 3.5, and it's even more distinct. I love that. The rest of it to me is really good, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. I might, personal preference again, increase this up to a 3, just to give the outline of the cat's body a little bit more emphasis. I love it. That's perfect. And each one looks like it's just kind of bleeding into the next. Now I'm going to select all again, and I'm going to go to my tie off. And I'm going to tie it entry, and tie it exit. Say OK. And I now have a stylized cat. It was a little work to get the SVG, but I love the outcome. It's just a magical appearance to me. I'm going to now save this design and show you just, whoops, I must Control S it, and it's going to be, let me see, cat outline. Let me cancel that. File, save as, cat outline. And keep track. I don't want this on my desktop. I actually want it to my embroidery files. Cat outline 1, just in case there's a problem with the stitch out. And now I know that this is the outline. I'm going to add just a little bit of flair to it. You may not want this. So I'm going to go back to my Create Design, and I'm going to select my nodes, and I'm going to roughly follow just sloppy digitizing, and go hold the control, and I'm going to create an arc along the back. Like I said, sloppy digitizing, not a problem. And I don't want it touching the satin stitch. I'm going to bring it, make sure it's just a little ways away. And now I'm going to select Fill. I am going to increase the density. For this one, I'm going to increase it up to about a 15. I can always back it down. I am going to go in, deselect my underlay, and go back to my preferences. For the fill, my stitch, I am going to begin at one end and end at the opposite. So I'm going to hover my mouse until I see the little red hourglass shape. And I still have a line through there, but we'll fix that shortly. I'm going to change the inclination of the stitches to almost 45 degrees. It's kind of like I'm sketching. And I am going to go to the feather and play just so that it is not even on either side. I just want it to look like that 14. I just want it to look like I've kind of done some cross hatching in there with a pencil. And that's perfect. There's a little bit of a movement, but yet it gives me an idea of color. I could also do the tail. I'm not sure I want to, but I might. Let's try it and see. Hey, what have I got to lose? I can always delete it, right? I'm going to come to the end, hold down my control. Let's make this last one not, and we'll make it a point. And go up here to the red close and close the area. Now I'm going to move my nodes just a little bit back again. And fill it. sure it's off. Again, put my start and my stop at the opposite ends of the design. You want to kind of think of it as stitching straight through. Set the inclination. And that looks really actually pretty good. I might go just, there we go. By lowering it just a little bit, let me see if I can get that back. If you look right here, watch my black arrow that's moving, you see a thread. That's going to show up due to the low density. So I'm just, sometimes all it takes is lowering the inclination of the stitches, and that was perfect. It took that thread away. And there you have a cat with a shaded tail. I like that. I think I'm going to let it go. I hope you have learned something from this video, and I hope you can use it in your designs. Please check out my blog for this story of importing this particular dingbat into Embrilliance. I'm sure you'll find it quite interesting, and maybe you'll avoid some frustration like I said earlier. Until next time, bye.